I want to introduce real application based on this name portal. This name portal, the domain name is wopen.com or wopen.net, or in Korean, hanguk.net. You can see this name portal, and I announced this one today, and this is about the COVID-19, the worldwide world situation. Let's look at this one. If you click this, then you can see this one. The main purpose of introducing this one is to introduce the real application using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript to get some general and overall perspective about real application of HTML5 and so on. Here you can see COVID-19, even though this one is written in Korean and partially in English, and the later part is in English, but you don't need to worry about that. I'm explaining in English, and this is COVID-19 world situation. Let's look at this one. This one is a YouTube video clip, and I included after broadcasting using this real-time streaming service in YouTube that is recorded, and after that I am attaching here, and those are embedded here, and you can see this after you click this one. This one is made after real-time streaming service in the YouTube, and I'll start here. The main purpose of watching this one is how to embed this kind of YouTube video in this name portal, and we are using HTML5, and also we are learning HTML5, and here we are using CSS3, also JavaScript we learn later, and now that JavaScript is being used also. There's later I will show you that the borderline thickness that is 7 pixels, and the borderline color is purple, and how to implement this one I'll show you. And now briefly let's look at the contents, because this is the real-time current news and current status of the worldwide pandemic coronavirus situation. And here, even though this one is Korean, I'll explain in English. This graph shows the impacted people in the world. This is about the United States, and this one is Italy, and this is China, and this is Spain. This graph is for Germany and France, and so on. And the coronavirus, that outbreak is happening in the world. The whole number of countries is 203, and at the current time of March 31st, the total impacted people in the world, that is around 785,000 people in the world, and the victims around 37,000 people in the world. Especially in the United States, 164 impacted people, and around 3,000 people, those are victims at this moment. Italy, 101 impacted people, and around 11,000 people, and Spain, 87,000 impacted people, over 7,000 victims. China, Germany, France, Iran, United Kingdom, Swiss, Belgium, and here Netherlands and Turkey. Korea is here, below 10,000 at this moment. And to the other countries, the impacted people, those numbers are enumerated here. And especially about the European area and the source areas, especially this Italy, and France, and Spain, Germany, United Kingdom, and those numbers are here, and you can see the graph here. And this one is just image, and a static image, a JPEG image. And how we can implement here, how we can embed here, we look at. And this is also gold borderline. Thickness is around 2, and that is embedded here. This one is showing another status, especially in Korea. And this one is some graph, decrease or increase graph. And every day that the number of impacted, newly impacted people, and those numbers are drawn here. And as I mentioned, this one, I used this borderline. The thickness is around 7 pixels, and the border color is purple. And here, this one is showing some YouTube video clips, and this is about the live news in Korea. Okay, I'll click this one, then we can watch the current
저희는
news.
원래 내용으로 다시 좀 돌아오도록 하겠습니다.
I'll click this one. I'll pause. And another live news. And at this moment,
젊은이들은 걸려도 안 죽는다라는 그런 인식 때문에 밖에서 야외 활동을 많이 하고 사회 활동을 했던 케이스들이 있거든요. 그래서 이러한 부분들의
And I'll pause this one. And let's look at this one. This is the current status. The time is around 2 p.m. Now the real time is around 2:32 p.m. That's 30 minutes ago, April 1st in this year. That is around this time, current time, and almost 30 minutes ago, most updated news about this coronavirus COVID-19. And we can see this one in English after selecting this one. Then we can see the contents of that, and I'll explain about that. But our main concern is about this, how to implement this one, and how to include this kind of other web page in our HTML web page. And to differentiate, I am using different color, especially this color, red color, a little bit different from others. This is another web page, website that contents are shown here. And this one is a YouTube clip. The colors are different a little bit. And let's look at the current status worldwide. The confirmed that infected people, the number of people around 859,000 people, and that means the victims around 42,000 people, and affected countries, the number is 207, and the fatality rate 4.93%, or near to the 5%, especially in the United States. The confirmed, that means the impacted whole people of the United States, 188,000 people, and the deaths, the victims are around 4,000 at this moment. This parenthesis is the number is showing the increased number during one day. This last yesterday, and just less than 24 hours, the increased number of the impacted people, and their victims. And the other countries are also shown here. And this one is about the United States, the current status of that confirmed people, and here victims, and Italy, Spain, China, Germany, and France, and Iran, and the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Turkey, Belgium, Netherlands, Austria, and South Korea, Canada, and so on. You can refer to others. Our main concern is, as I mentioned already, how to embed this kind of web page here. We'll look at later. Okay, the others are just repeating to include some video clips. That may be a live video or recorded video. Those are YouTube videos here. And even some English American news here about the COVID-19 in United States, like this.
We're going to turn now to the race to save the most severe patients. And Diane Sawyer has been following a pioneering effort by the medical community to meet the challenge of the times. It involves people who have recovered from the virus.
Here, our main concern is to embed this kind of video clips here instead of the contents of this news. Okay, another news.
Let's bring in Dr. Mehmet Oz, host of the Dr. Oz Show. He's been joining us every day during the pandemic. Dr. Oz, it is terrific that the comfort is now in the New York City area. Yesterday, they said it was 70,000.
And another CNN news.
Joining me now is the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, we know you have so much on your plate. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning.
The YouTube Good to be with you, Jim. Even the
let's begin. I'm sure you heard our reporter there describing a tent hospital set up to deal with a surge in cases. We have the biggest one-day death toll so far.
Here. And let's look at this one, and let's look at the real source code for that. Okay. Then you are clicking the mouse right button, then you can see the page source code. Click, then you can see this one. You can see page source code here. This is the source code for that, about that contents. Here we are using document type HTML. That means this one is HTML5. The main language is Korean. I am using this one, language type Korean. And head area here. And in this head section, we can include meta tags here. Meta information, those are embedded here. For example, viewport to apply to the different device for the smartphone screen or PC screen. Depending upon that, the responsive web design that is a little bit different, and we'll look at. And we should consider different devices. The maximum scale, the zooming out, zoom in, that is large size, and the smaller size is minimum scale, that is 1. We can control that to this number. Then we can increase a little bit more than that, or we can decrease the size a little bit more, less than this. And also we can provide some keywords to this meta tag, and some title here, and that will be shown here, and meta tags here also. Some meta tags, those are provided by the Facebook or Twitter.com. If we are including and if we are linking together, then that companies are providing some application program interface, API, JavaScript, and so on, and we can embed here. And in this HTML5, we can include some CSS style here. This one is containing many CSS styles. And about a tag hovering, that is pseudo class. And later in the CSS tutorial, we learn about that. And at this moment, you don't need to worry about that. In advance, I'm introducing briefly to understand better about the CSS tutorial contents. And the others here, as we learned, this dot means class, and this sharp means ID name. And if that ID name is belonging to that element, then following this element, we can use that hash character, and that is ID name for that. And those are enumerated here. And in the previous example about the coronavirus contents, we used the iframe, and that class name is C. I'll show you later. Okay, at this moment, let's look at. Here we just look at this coronavirus, and in this edit mode, we can see there is some HTML5 source code here, because I am using this one, and this one is embedded in this text area, and that embedded iframe is showing that YouTube clip. And if we know that the YouTube video ID, then the others should be same, and this class C, that is containing, okay, I will show you that source code of this edit page. Then we can see this one. Here, let's focus on that iframe and C. That is about this. Many class names are, and depending upon that element name and ID name, those are shown here. And those are not simplified because to show you for educational purpose. Here, the width, height, about the size of that video, as we watched here already, and those size, that is width and height, and the thickness, that is here. Border radius we learn later, that is the rounded, Okay, let's look at it again. This is rounded, that corner is rounded, that is defined here. Border radius, that corner, that is, and we learn. This is the CSS tutorial topic. And this is border 7 pixel and the solid line purple color. And as we observed already, this is 7 pixel and the purple color. That is being used for this iframe. And class name C, like this. Let's look at the other. Okay, let's look at the other images. For example, let's look at that image. Let's go back to the front part, and we could see this kind of image, and we can see those images like this. This COVID-19, and the image is like this. Image, we are using class number C3, and alternative, that is the text in case this one is not being shown, then this one will be used. And also about this image, this one can be used by the screen reader. And this is the attribute as we learned already, and source, and this is the shortened image. I will copy this one, and let's look at what's that. And here I'll paste here, and let's click. Then you can see this one is the image, and the original actual URL is very complicated and very long, and it is very difficult to contain here. It is very difficult to contain here. Let's look at it again. Okay, that is not shown here. And let's go back to the previous one in the edit mode. Here, edit. It's very difficult to contain here. Instead of that full URL, and that is very long and complicated, instead we can make it shortened. And we can use this shortened URL instead of that full URL. And especially in this site, bit.ly, and there are many other sites which website is compressing and shortening that long URL to very short URL. There's here, if you know the full URL, then you can compress that here. Okay, let's go back. And here we used the, let me check again, about this image. We are using class name C3. Then we can see this one, C3, this one, and this borderline thickness is a little bit thinner than the previous purple thick borderline, and this is golden color, and this is being used to show this image. And let's go back. Let's look at again. Image class name C3, and let's look at that source code here. Class name image and class name C3. Then C3, this one. The width is 320 pixel. Height is automatic. Depending upon the width, without any distortion of that image, the real image will be shown depending upon the width. Proportionally, that will be increased. Thus, that is defined here, auto, as auto. But this topic is about the CSS tutorial topic, thus later we learn about it. And the border radius, border also, those are CSS styles. And here, as I mentioned already, the border thickness, is this gold color, and the solid line, 2 pixels. Thus, we can implement that. And the others we can implement simply here. iframe, image, like that. And depending upon the class name, the size and the color may be different, but we are using same color and the same thickness. Only the C3 or C, there is a different here. This is class for the class name for the iframe. That's different. That is the image class name C3. Thus we learn later. Anyhow, this one is the CSS topic, and to get some general perspective about the whole HTML5 and CSS and JavaScript, I am announcing in advance. Okay, the others are just another styles, and also this one is keyframes, and that will be used to animate, and we learn anyhow. I'll focus on the others topic, and this one is the script, JavaScript, and we are running here, and we will learn after midterm exam. And about the, okay, this one is showing some there. Let's go back here. Here, this one is showing some Facebook, Twitter, and bottom Facebook. and the Twitter, those can be shown in the piece source code here. Table, about table. And this one is about the COVID-19 and the world situation. And this one is showing the contents for that. And even though that is Korean, as we just watched it and observed, those are using some URL, and those are all compressed one instead of the original full actual URL. And those some iframe and class C, we are using YouTube or video ID here, and we could see. And the many other YouTube or the English YouTube you can remember, those are enumerated here like this. And we can show this text string is not long and not big, but the actual YouTube video, those are very huge size, and this one is containing only very small sized characters, and it is good and efficient in terms of the file size to hold in the database. Simply we are using that YouTube here and just ID here, then we can show YouTube. And also image, we can contain. Let's look at some image somewhere, anyone. Let's try to find here. Control F, then we can find IMG, then we can find this image. Image class name C3, and just simply we can get the URL here, then we can hyperlink to that image, specific image, instead of saving this whole big size, usually several megabytes in the database. Instead of that, we can save only this small amount of characters in the database, then we can show as we observed in the screen, like this or like this. Okay, and this area, the input area, right? Input area, as we learned already. And let's look at probably this is the source code for that. And let's try to find some input tag here. Anyone, it doesn't matter. Input tag. Let's look at. This one is not for that. From this one, let's look at again. Input, like this, input. And also, let's look at again this one. Let's look at the source code. If you are clicking the right button in your mouse, then you can see the source code. And let's try to find some here. Control F, you can find the input. Those input we learned already. And those input, type text, and among many types, we couldn't learn about this, but there is another one, type, hidden. That is just hidden and to send to the server, and that is not shown. And this is another kind of type. And also we can see some text area, as we learned already, text area. And this is for that. Text area rows, 20 rows and 75 columns. This one is about the contents. And I will show you again. And this one is containing some URLs here, and the real-time live news, as we learned already, and all information. Those are mainly related to this YouTube video and some image. iframe mainly. iframe sometimes some image here. Those are contained in the text area. And this is, let's go back. This is the text area. In this area, those iframe, those are contained. And if we are going back to the original one, before the editing mode, then we could see. And if we want to change this one to apply the real-time current updated data, then we should modify. Then we should go into this edit mode and we can modify. Then after we modify this one, we can see the most recent updated information. And this is for that. And this information later, then may be obsolete because this one is the statistics about March 31st. But later, I will update this one depending upon this editing mode and the modification. The image that contents will be changed later. Also this one. This one, even though this one is April 1st in the morning 9 a.m. that the image, but later probably next morning the status of this one will be changed. Thus I am updating in that way, simply in this edit mode. Okay, about the real application introduction, I am explaining about that. And this is the integrated and integrated HTML5 and the CSS3 as well as JavaScript. Those are all integrated together. Then we can provide some application like this. This is a real-time information. This one is containing the real-time information, and that information is being changed, and those contents are really a hot issue in the world, and the worldwide coronavirus pandemic situation is so bad. Thus, everybody is very interested in these contents, and that should be updated properly. There's to this HTML5 and CSS3 and JavaScript. We can provide this kind of updatable website, and this only can be recorded using the YouTube streaming service, and later that the YouTube video ID that is being shown here, and that can be put in here simply after uploading in the YouTube. Let's go to the YouTube. And that will be embedded here. But usually that this here, and then we can watch that is YouTube video, and we can record that on our website. Okay, that's enough to introduce briefly about the real application of HTML5, CSS3, as well as JavaScript. Especially this topic is about the worldwide pandemic situation. And I will wrap up today's introduction here.